Lawmakers managed to delay a government shutdown once again yesterday when the House passed a 3-week extension of the federal budget. But what happens when the clock runs out of time? Well, joining me now with reaction, Republican Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann, Democratic Congressman Anthony Weiner. All right, Congressman, here's why we're in this position. And this is just a fact. You had both houses of Congress last year, run by the Democrats. You had the White House. You guys didn't pass a budget. It's your responsibility. You should have passed a budget. You didn't pass a budget. So now we find ourselves at this impasse, and all the Democrats are offering is $4.5 billion in cuts. We have a $1.65 trillion deficit this year, after nearly $3 trillion of Obama debt in his first 2 years, and we also have, $3.7 trillion budget. You can't find more than $4.5 billion a cut?
Well, frankly, I mean, let's get the history right. The Bush administration drove the economy into a cliff, and we've been digging out ever since.
Wow.
It's true.
Let's talk about this vote.
It's true. Well, let me answer the question. It's true. We also did add $1 trillion of additional debt and deficit by giving tax cuts to millionaires and billionaires, something many of us opposed. But the fact is, if you look at the president's budget proposal,
you mean that Obama signed, the bill that Obama went along with extending that tax cut, that one? Okay.
Well, I understand, but you're asking my position, and I don't support taxes for millionaires and billionaires. Do you?
Yes.
Well, you got to pay for them somehow,
and you've
yet. Well, that's actually not true because well, you apparently don't believe that we should fix the alternative minimum tax because that's something the Democratic budget proposal does. Now, that costs a little bit of money, and the question is...
you don't get that.
Yeah.
Congressman, it's not, we don't have a revenue problem. You guys spend too much of our money. Stop spending it recklessly. That's the answer, Congressman.
Well, one of the ways that we spend money is giving it to millionaires and billionaires.
No, the millionaires and billionaires that you're deriding here are the ones that the top 10% pay 75% of the bill, and then you want to hit them over the head with a baseball bat.
No, there's no doubt about it. Some people believe in tax cuts for billionaires. You're one of them. I'm saying you got to pay for it somehow. How are you going to pay for it?
I believe in tax cuts for everybody. I want people like you to stop irresponsibly spending our hard-earned money. I live in New York. 55% of my income, sir, goes to taxes, and you want more money. I don't want to give you any more money. Start managing the money you have.
You want tax cuts. Look, you make a lot of money. You want tax cuts, but you got to pay for it somehow. Now, maybe what we should do, is have cuts in defense, or maybe we should do Michelle Bachmann's plan to cut Medicare and cut veterans. This is about how you make these decisions.
Congresswoman, weigh in. I'm done.
Well, you know, one of the first things Representative Weiner said is that President Obama inherited a mess. Well, let's look at it. The last year that the Republicans had a budget resolution, the deficit was under $161 billion. Just last month under President Obama, the deficit was $223 billion. So the president has been creating more debt than anyone has ever seen before. So there is no comparison. When you look at tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires, I don't think that they're getting a great deal right now because the top 1% of all income earners in this country are paying over 40% of all of the taxes to the federal government. So his facts are wrong on their face.
All right, Congressman, hang on. I asked the questions. I asked you the initial question. I asked you where
you sure 2-on-1 is enough for you, Sean?
Here's my point. $3.7 billion. We have nearly $5 trillion now accumulated Obama debt. $5 trillion. You tell me how much you're willing to cut out of the budget.
Well, let me ask you something. Is it accumulated Obama debt when President Bush left office, there were 700,000 jobs lost that month? There are more private sector jobs created under President Obama in his 2 years than...
That's a lie.
It's absolutely fact. It's absolutely fact.
That's not true.
More private sector jobs created under Obama than under 8 years of President Bush.
I know you're a bitter partisan, but in the month of February...
No, I'm just a partisan.
Let me finish. Do I look bitter? Hack. Stop it. In the month of February, our deficit was... Our deficit
it's almost
was
St. Patrick's Day. You're going to call me names?
Yes. Our deficit was $223,000 for the month. In 2007, if we're looking at real dollars and real money, we paid less in a year than we did for the month of February.
Well, look, I will tell you this, that the deficit right now comes from 3 places. 1, unfunded wars. 2, enormous numbers of jobs that have been lost, and that's a tragedy that President Bush drove us into this cliff. And 3, tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires. Yeah. Now, I've given you 1/3 of it right off the top.
All right, 1/3. All right, you know what, Congresswoman Bachmann, you notice George Bush has been out of office for nearly 2.5 years. He can't get over it. Barack Obama's budgets, nearly $5 trillion in debt, he mentioned where he would cut. I'll ask you the same question.
What do you mean he?
Congressman, that would be you. Congresswoman, where would you cut?
You know, Sean, I had no idea that Representative Weiner was such a reader of fiction. He's a huge fiction reader because that's all of his numbers. I wanted to mention a quote.
Bachmann, I don't think you want to go there.
I
don't think you want to go there, Bachmann.
Sean, and if I could have the respect of speaking, on the day that Nancy Pelosi took the gavel in 2007, she said we've dealt with historic deficits, and so now under her, the Congress was going to be different. And so she was planning to make sure we had no more deficits. That day, there was $8 trillion in deficit. The day that she gave up her gavel, thankfully, 4 years later, she'd increased that deficit by $6 trillion. So she had taken us from $8 trillion in deficit to $14 trillion in deficit. We were going nowhere fast, but over a cliff. Thank goodness John Boehner pulled that gavel out of her hand. Thank goodness to the American people who gave him that gavel.
All right, Congressman, I'll give you one last chance. I really want a specific answer because we're out of time. What would you cut, and how much are you willing to cut in spending, sir?
I think that, frankly, we do need to cut spending. I passed four amendments let me finish. I passed 4 amendments that reduce spending by over $400 million. Michelle Bachmann had none of them. And by the way, for her to make fun of me not knowing fact from fiction is a bit ironic, to say the least.
I'm a cutter.
I know you want to cut. You want to cut Medicare. You want to cut veteran spending. You want to cut air traffic controllers. You and I have different values. That's what this fight is about. I believe we do.
You don't think you're spending too much money?
I agree with you.
You don't think you're spending too much money, Congressman? You're talking about $400 million of a $3.7 trillion budget?
I believe when there are millions of Americans not working because of the Bush decisions that we do have to take care of those people, and that adds costs, no doubt about it. But we're paying less because of health care.
Like $1 trillion in
Congressman, you're going to have to man up. You're going to have to, you're going to have to man up. You're going to have to sit at the table and put your pants on and come to this realization. Barack Obama's president 2.5 years.
Sean, make it 3 on 1 next time. Make it 3 on 1 or 4 on 1 next time. I'm ready for you.
You're a star. Just go look in the mirror. I know you think that of yourself, but we got to run.
I love these balanced debates.
Yeah, well, that's what it is.
Tell me about it.
Tell me about it. Let not your heart be troubled. Our great, great, great American panel is next.